So we have another Core Pro conversation. This is our nutritionist, and I'm really looking forward. I've been looking forward to this all day because she is so knowledgeable. Literally, the best nutritionist that I know, the most knowledgeable nutritionist that I know. She prevented me from eating shark. I will say that based on her knowledge. So I'm going to say that real quick. So that says a lot because it takes a lot to prevent me from doing something like that. So that speaks volumes. So for those who don't know you, introduce yourself. What's your name? Obviously, I mentioned you're a nutritionist, but how did you get into that field? And a little bit more about yourself as well.
So my name is Brandow, and I'm a plant-based nutritionist. So not all of my clients obviously are fully vegan or plant-based, but my motivation is to try and show people that way of life and how it's attainable, it's affordable, it doesn't have to be difficult, and it can be a very exciting thing to do. It's, try something new with your diet, try and align yourself with nature a little bit more, eat more naturally. So I got into nutrition actually when I went vegan about 8 years ago. There weren't a lot of options on the market like there are now. There weren't as many vegan restaurants, and I really had to learn how to cook and how to eat and how to have a very balanced diet. And I didn't know anything about nutrition at the time. My diet was a nightmare looking back before I switched. So if I could go plant-based, anybody could, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started learning a little bit more, and that's when I realized that nutrition was something I wanted to pursue as a career, and I became very passionate about it. I experienced a lot of benefits in my own life and my own health and energy levels that were unexpected. It started off just purely as an environmental and ethical decision for me, and then all of a sudden I noticed, I have better focus, I have better mental clarity, and it just sort of went on from there. I have more energy. I want to work out now. I never wanted to work out before. I want to read more books now. I don't want to watch TV anymore. And so when you start to align your health a little bit better, everything else changes.
That totally makes sense. I'm curious though, you mentioned as far as what your eating habits or what your diet was before you made the switch. What types of foods did you eat back then before you made the switch?
Honestly, all of it.
All of it.
My dad's family is Italian, so lots of bread, pasta, cheeses, lots of meats, just, standard American diet, I guess you would say. Fast food, definitely. When I was a student, it was just whatever was convenient, didn't think too much about it. I would eat like wraps with lots of chicken, lots of cheese, ranch sauce, things like that, and I would think that was healthy, and I wondered why I was tired all the time, felt like crap, and then when I made the switch, I kind of realized, there is another way.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. That's amazing. So looking back in your life to where you are now, what would you say is your most significant accomplishment, or the accomplishment that you're most proud of?
I don't know if it's like an accomplishment per se in the typical sense, but something that I'm really proud of was leaving sort of a stable job, like the 9 to 5, the comfort zone, and there's nothing wrong with that either. There's a lot of people that actually thrive in those environments, and it makes them happy and it gives them security, but I knew that I wanted to do something a bit different. I wanted to reach more people. I wanted to take on private clients and just sort of spread the word about plant-based nutrition. And so I took that leap, I quit that job, and I wish I could say everything was perfect since then, but of course, as an entrepreneur, it's always going to be up and down.
For sure.
And I think when you take these risks as well, you learn a lot about yourself, and you have to overcome the excuses you make for why you're not succeeding or why you can't do things. You have to take a good hard look at yourself and say, okay, I'm the one holding myself back. It's not anybody else. It's not this person who had this advantage or that person who had, more time to do this or that. So, you get to learn a lot about yourself, and you get the chance to really improve and keep improving always.
Yeah, two things I love that you said just now. The last thing in terms about you have to look at yourself, right? As an entrepreneur, you have to find out what's holding back? It's me. Yeah. That self-awareness. It helps you create that self-awareness, and that's such a big thing. I think a lot of people don't practice or try to attain that level of self-awareness. So I love that you said that. And then the other thing that you said, as far as the 9 to 5 and entrepreneurship, I love that you said that. Not that it's a bad thing, some people thrive in those environments, but some entrepreneurs think that 9 to 5, that should not be a thing. I
sometimes being an entrepreneur though is 7 to 10. It's not sometimes it's a lot more, but it's more passion as well, because if you love what you're doing, you don't mind, putting in and building your dream. So
Exactly.
if you can find a job where you are building your dream, or at least, improving your skills, or it's something you're happy with, then it doesn't really matter what you're doing. You're on the right track. It's just about finding that balance and finding that happiness.
Exactly. Perfect. That's exactly where our mindset is. Okay, perfect. Okay, so entrepreneurship, right? So I want to use that as a link to Choose to Be Fit, right? So Choose to Be Fit for you, like, how did you get into that? Like, what interests you? What intrigued you about Choose to Be Fit?
Well, it empowers entrepreneurs, people like myself who are nutritionists. I work mostly online. I really like that we're entering a time when now personal trainers can work online too. You can actually just do a FaceTime session with your client, and you do your squats together. It's like you're there. So this is an awesome time to be building a platform like this and allowing these people to connect. And you don't need to find a nutritionist in your hometown. You can find someone that you connect with that's across the world. I mean, I'm in Canada and I see clients all over the world, which is something that I'm so fortunate to be able to do because of the technology we have available to us. So this app is just a way to utilize that, and just to sort of streamline the process for professionals, make it easier to find the clients that want to connect with you, and just sort of incentivize people to put themselves out there a little bit more and see where it goes.
Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned as far as like clients in different countries, just so that we are aware, how many countries are your clients in?
So far 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I only speak English, unfortunately. It'd probably be better if I learned some other languages. That's in the works, but yeah, so I've been really lucky I've also lived in different countries as well, so that made it easier for me to connect with people. I've traveled, and because of the climate right now as far as environmental issues and animal cruelty, there's a lot more people who are considering a plant-based way of life and tweaking their diet a little bit to be a little bit more environmental, or maybe they want to be a bit healthier, or they realize they have a chronic condition that can be managed, or in some cases even reversed with this type of diet. So that's kind of a mindset that I find all over the world with different people, and if someone's ready to make that change, then we're a great match as a nutritionist and a client.
That totally makes sense. So you mentioned as far as the travel, like that's how you made a lot of these connections. Would you say that's the primary mode or the primary medium that you were able to branch out into these 11 countries and establish those relationships by travel? Is that the best?
Largely, yeah.
Okay.
So I was based out of London, and it's quite easy to travel around European countries and stuff out of the UK. And that's what sort of got me sort of investing in my social media time a little bit more. So posting more about, I used to travel a lot, and I would kind of post as an afterthought, which in some ways is really nice because then your focus is on the trip itself. But I realized, I can show people this amazing vegan restaurant in this country, and they might consider, going here and trying out this place, or ecotourism, going places that people don't go very often, and allowing countries to invest back in environmental causes and issues as well. So Madagascar, for example, is a great example of that. So the more tourists go there, the more they're going to invest in conservation of these beautiful natural landscapes that people want to see.
That totally makes sense. I know we talked off camera about Madagascar, and
Yeah,
I'm definitely interested in it, so that's definitely on my list right now.
amazing place to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so traveling is a really good way to meet people and branch out with clients, but also just investing more time in sharing your life on social media, and people might resonate with you a little bit more as a person and say, that's someone that I would consider hiring. So the social media was like the next step that I took. Perfect. Trying to open up and share more.
I love that. Perfect. So keeping it C2B. So in terms of the vision of C2B, and you probably already answered it in your previous answer, but what do you like most about the vision of Choose to Be Fit?
So I just like the capability of just connecting people who are either, at advanced stages in their career or brand new to their career to clients all over the world, and not having to, always go out and look for clients in your own area, and have people have the ability to come to you to sort of browse and put in the keywords they're looking for. So I'm looking for, someone who's a specialist in flexibility training or weightlifting or plant-based nutrition, and you can find that person right away, and you can sort of see a little bit what they're about, and I can share the types of things that I offer to find like the right clients that that I would be a best match for, and a personal trainer can find that person. And just being able to do that on a worldwide scale is amazing. I mean, you could potentially hire someone that you really like and that you follow on social media, and do FaceTime sessions with them, do sessions with them over our app. So
I love
Yeah,
that.
I think that's really cool. It's just connecting the global landscape of the fitness industry.
I love that. Connecting the global landscape in the fitness. I love that. Okay, perfect. So again, keeping it C2B. So choose to be fit. You know, people have different interpretations of when they hear that, right? Choose to be fit. You can automatically probably think of like, okay, it's physical, right? Fit. Choose to be fit. Physical. When you hear choose to be fit, what does that mean to you?
So I think fitness for me goes beyond the aesthetic, beyond the physical. Obviously that's a huge aspect of it and you can't neglect that, but it has to be very much mindset. And diet obviously has a huge part in that too. So I think you need to have sort of the whole package where you embrace the changes that you need to embrace and you take yourself on a journey of self-improvement all the time, where, you know, every day is a step towards trying something new and bettering yourself and seeing how things go without the pressure of always like, I'm on a diet and it has to be perfect, or I made a mistake and I totally fell off. That's not what it's about. You're choosing to have an overall, a fit lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, and you're choosing longevity, you're choosing health. In the case of my clients, you're choosing a path that's amazing for the environment, amazing for the planet, amazing for the animals. So
that's perfect. So you mentioned self-improvement. I'm huge on that. So I want to get your perspective on this. So for yourself, what, as far as self-improvement, what do you do, or what do you constantly do, or what do you do to make sure you're constantly improving yourself? How do you handle that, or what habits do you develop, or what sort of discipline do you have around that to make sure that you're constantly improving?
So from a professional perspective, I'm constantly updating my knowledge by reading the latest nutrition journals, checking sites like nutritionfacts.org, which is an amazing resource for unbiased nutrition, sort of summarized in layman's terms. They have great videos, great blogs. Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is another one that I check out. And just, the latest nutrition publications, courses, things like that are coming out. And then on a personal level, it's just being open to learning new skills all the time, trying to network and meet as many people as possible to sort of expand my landscape and see what's going on in the health and fitness world and how they interact, following people who are doing things outside of the norm, like plant-based bodybuilders that's becoming huge. So it's like, what are they doing? Okay, how can that help my clients that think that, you know, you can't gain on a plant-based diet? So those are the types of things that I look for. And then having a schedule for myself is really, really important.
For sure.
Just to keep everything in line, set goals for the day, forgive yourself if you don't meet them, but do the most important things first.
Yeah, I love that. I love that part of forgive yourself if you don't meet them.
Yes.
I think I need to do a better job about that, because sometimes
most people do.
Right?
That's a hard one to get over.
It really is. So I love that you said that though. And you mentioned plant-based obviously a few times already, but I just want to say that in terms of plant-based, you mentioned plant-based bodybuilders. I'm not a bodybuilder, but obviously I love fitness, and I work on a lot. And we talked about whey protein and plant-based protein, and I have committed to trying the plant-based protein, and I will stick to that. So I just want to say that, want to put that out there. So I will be doing that for sure.
That's all it has to be for some people. So just start off with small changes. Maybe you mix out the whey protein with something a lot more beneficial, like a raw sprouted, a plant-based protein that's going to be absorbed better, and also instead of just looking at, you know, the calories and the protein that you're taking in, you're also going to get some nutrients as well. So it's better bang for your buck that way too.
I like that.
So small changes, I tell people as well, you know, try plant-based breakfast, try a chia pudding, overnight oats, something like that. Try something different, have a green smoothie, and then maybe the next week incorporate a plant-based lunch. And then maybe plant-based dinners, maybe do meatless Mondays. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing approach, because that's why a lot of people fail in the beginning. I would love for people to take on that attitude where they're just like, I'm completely ready to change, let's go. But for a lot of people that sets them up for failure, and you know, like I said, they don't forgive themselves, or you're hard on yourself if you feel like you set a goal and you don't meet it, even if that goal is a huge jump from your former life. So it's good to just try things out at a rate that you're comfortable with, if that's what's going to help you stick to something. But if you're a person that's all in, like I was when I went vegan, it was overnight. So you have to know what works for you, and you have to be realistic about it, and then that's how you find success.
That totally makes sense. So obviously MCM is a big hashtag. Is Meatless Mondays a big hashtag?
I think it is, I think it's growing for sure. It's in the last couple of years it's gotten a lot bigger, so I hope it keeps growing. But I mean, a lot of people would have a meatless day a week and not think about it, you know? So
that's a good point.
Yeah, there's so many things that you would eat that are automatically vegan or vegetarian, and or you can easily tweak something. Like if you want to have tacos, you can substitute with, you know, just beans on the inside instead of a meat, or a plant-based meat, or even just the vegetables and stuff. Anything that you enjoy, like you can make plant-based lasagnas, you can make plant-based pasta. A lot of people eat kind of the same 5 things all the time. You know, they'll have like chicken and potatoes and like turkey and this, and then they want to go plant-based and they're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat? And they think they need to learn 1,000 new recipes when normally they've been eating the same 5 meals kind of all the time. So you just take those 5 meals and you find a really simple version of them that's a little bit healthier and that doesn't contain animal products, and it's a really good way to cut back consumption, which is ultimately the best thing we could do for our environment as well.
That totally makes sense. I will admit that I'm including that population of a lot of those people who have the standard 5 meals, like the same thing every day.
But if you know it works, there's nothing wrong with it. So just, you know, find a slightly different version of it and then stick with that and do it 1 meal at a time. And so you've got, you know, your 5 to 7 plant-based meals that you love, and there's nothing wrong with eating those ones over and over again, as long as you're getting all of your nutrients.
Okay, I like that. All right, so sticking with the Choose to Be Fit theme. So obviously, you know, it's a platform that connects clients and pros. So for clients and pros that are not on the site yet, what would you tell them?
It's free to sign up. Why wouldn't you? Also, if you're a pro that isn't already, you know, taking your own clients and doing sort of the entrepreneurial thing, it's an amazing way to start, because the hardest part about that is going out and chasing clients all the time. You know, it's a lot easier if they can sort of browse and already you've got someone who's coming to you, they're interested in what you do, and you know that it's going to be a good match. So that's an amazing way to start off. Obviously the application is going to offer a lot of support as well, and a lot of incentives for new people to join, and why not?
Yeah, why not?
And even for pros as well, if you think you're signing up, you know, to offer a service, like I would also plan to utilize the site for services myself. So, I mean, I've had an amazing time trying out the chef. He's been so great. And the different plant-based meals. So like that's a service that I would use. You know, I spoke to someone who is very interested in offering flexibility training. So as a former dancer, that's something that I would love too. I definitely want to keep that up. So see where I can take that to the next level. Maybe I want a training session online during my travels. So I think if you join it, you know, for one reason, maybe you'll end up being both a client and a pro.
I love that. I love that you just said that. That's amazing. I love that. Perfect. So we're down to my final 2 questions, but I love to ask at the end. The first of the 2. Purpose. What would you say your purpose is?
So my purpose is definitely to try and inspire people to try a different way of eating, to try and choose a lifestyle that makes them healthy and happy while doing as little harm as possible to their bodies, to the animals, to the environment. And I think a lot of people, like myself formerly, before I changed my diet, they don't know what it's like to feel amazing and to feel really energized and to just walk around and be so happy for no reason and just think like, this is life, this is living, because you're so in tune with your own body and you're also feeling good about what you're putting into your body and what you're eating. And that's so powerful too. How we think and feel about our food is just as important as what it is. If we have negative thoughts towards what we're ingesting, it's not healthy. If we have positive thoughts towards what we're ingesting, it is healthy. And, you know, if you choose food that is more nutritionally balanced, it's easier to have those thoughts. So it just sort of brings everything into line. And I want people to realize what's possible. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can have grocery store foods. You don't need to order really expensive supplements and really expensive powders. You can do that if you want, but you don't need to. You can do it with grocery store, you know, just cheap foods. So I want people to, see how easy it is, maybe give it a try, maybe start with a meatless Monday, breakfast week. And also even with my own clients, I don't have people for a lot of sessions. You know, I don't want people coming to see me 30 times. It's not about that. Usually I'll see people about 4 times, and then maybe we'll touch base in the future for like a session here and there. But that's kind of all it takes, you know, 4 or 5 sessions for them to really change their mindset. And then, so, you know, 1 a week. And then after that, we just touch base periodically, unless someone has a chronic health condition, which is a little bit different. But just for someone in general who, you know, wants to change their life, it's amazing what you can get done in 4 or 5 hours, like just as a really good baseline to start off.
I like that. That totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. So the last question, I know you have a lot of goals. We talked a lot about things even off camera, so I'm very well aware of a lot of goals. So what is your primary motivation to attain those goals?
Well, with everything that's going on as far as climate change, our environment, as we talked about the shark meat, I'm very passionate about conserving our oceans. I mean, so much of the Earth's oxygen comes from the oceans, and since we're not doing a good job of protecting our rainforests, like, we have to make up for it somewhere. So hopefully, you know, I want people to cut back on beef because that will help protect the rainforest. I want people to cut back on fish as much as possible because that will help save the oceans. Not eat these large predators, which also have health implications of all the different environmental contaminants moving up the food chain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just want to help people make these changes and help them sort of see why it's important to make these changes and protecting our environment. Right now, we're at a pivotal time where there isn't a lot of time left to carry on the current trajectory of just mass consumption. We all need to start eating at a lower trophic level. We need to have lower energy expenditure from our food. We shouldn't be eating animals that eat the plants or animals that eat the animals that eat the plants when we can be eating the plants.
Yeah,
you know,
I got you.
we can be eating at the lowest trophic level, and I think that's something that, at least to start off, a few meals a week, and hopefully someone will transition all the way into a plant-based lifestyle. I find with some people as well that'll say, okay, so I'll do vegan during the week and then whatever I want on the weekend. And one of my clients ended up giving that up because she said, weekends were supposed to be my fun and I would just eat whatever I wanted and I felt terrible every weekend. So she said, no, I just stick to vegan all the time now. I stick to mostly plant-based all the time. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
To hear stories of that. Wow.
Yep.
So this has been pretty much what I expected. With your level of knowledge, I expected to hear a lot, expected to learn a lot, even from what I've already learned from you. So
yeah, we didn't go into too much detail with the nutrition science and stuff, but if someone wants that, they can come to me for that. So
that shows you the level of knowledge that you do have. This didn't even scratch the surface. So this was really great, and I definitely will look forward to talking to you again and going more in depth. So awesome.
Thank you.
So this has been another great interview. Look forward to the next one.